Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Batlet Gamer, and we are back with, for a strange time, the second Final Thoughts video done in the same week. And this is for a couple reasons. First, this was actually supposed to come out last Saturday, not today. So, yeah, I was trying to get a bunch of videos loaded up, and the stress got to me, and I just couldn't finish up everything I needed to last week because I'm going to Norway, or at least I'm in Norway now at the time that you're watching this video. Granted, I will be back by this following Tuesday in the evening, and we will continue back on with Table Talk on this coming Thursday. So I will be back. We have a lot of great things in store for you all and the channel. We have some giveaways ready to set up, and not only that, we have some other fun things on the channel, some fun videos coming up, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited to really get back into it. It was a very stressful time with Dark Archive coming out, and then I had to get backlogged up for Norway. So I just had a very busy amount of time, and I couldn't really be flexible with my schedule. Now that that's over, I can relax a little bit, get working on some projects, and really get in. And I don't mean to be like overly secretive. I just don't want to overhype what the project might start out as, because we just don't have the funds to make it, I think, as good as I'd like to. But that might change in the near future, so we'll have to see. But yes, so today we're going to be talking about Starfinder and our first impressions with it and my final thoughts on the system. This is ironically coming out after the Warhammer one, which was the more recent one, and hopefully after this, these videos will come out in a more succinct, timely fashion after the playtests. Now that everything is in order, I'm no longer behind on these, and, you know, everything else in order. But yeah, Starfinder I actually thoroughly enjoyed. Who would have guessed? Pathfinder 2E is one of my favorite game systems, and Starfinder is kind of like the midway point between Pathfinder 1E and 2E, as it obviously came out after Pathfinder, and it upgraded some of the systems. I'll go ahead and let the players speak about their impressions on it, and you can see the interviews we had after the session, and then I'll go ahead and give my final thoughts. All right, hello.
Oh my. It's all special.
Secret chat.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that your opinions are not skewed by anyone else's, so.
Oh, that works.
All right, well, welcome. I hope you enjoyed your time here.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I enjoy the light combat side of stuff, because usually a little more entertaining things can happen.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And again, I tried my best to give you all enough. Obviously, 3 hours is really not a lot of time. We didn't really get the full 3 hours in, honestly.
Yeah.
Because
And
of starting up.
Starfinder, I think Starfinder is complex enough that usually takes about 4 actual playing sessions for people to start really figuring out the system enough to where they can make some pretty accurate mechanical decisions. So
That's true. But, one of the things we try to do, especially with this series, is get first impressions, get, your general ideas on the game. So I'm going to ask you just a few questions here. Overall, how would you rate your experience with Pathfinder on a scale of 1 to 10, or not Pathfinder, Starfinder on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, I don't think I'd ever play this game again, 10 being, I can't wait for my next session?
I would probably just say a 5 right down the middle. 5, 6.
5,
It,
6 down the middle?
yeah. Yep. Uh, I will definitely play it again, but I also think that and I think this is more something to say about Roll20's character sheet than I think actual Starfinder system itself. So I think I would say that I think I'm a little bit skewed by the character sheet.
That's fair. The character sheet was kind of rough. I know Foundry probably has a lot more available when it comes
Well,
to character sheets.
the thing I did like about the Roll20 system, though, is that it has most of the assets already available to search. So that is one thing I did like a lot.
That's true. That's true. Okay. All right, that's pretty fair, pretty middle of the road. Uh, was there anything about how the system was running that rubbed you the wrong way or anything like that? Any negative experiences, not including the character sheet?
Yeah. No, there really isn't. It definitely feels like a pretty standard what most people would consider a very standard role playing system. It is a little bit more complex, but just because it has the swift move and standard action, full action whole mechanics, but I've never had a problem with it. Um, so I would say that it's there's nothing that really rubbed me the wrong way that I can think of. Um, there's enough flexibility. Actually, this is something I will say I do like about Starfinder.
Okay.
They added more actions for combat, and they left combat maneuver in the game. So there is a lot of flexibility in the game to do things outside of move and attack or move and cast a spell. So that's something I do enjoy. So there's nothing that really rubbed me the wrong way, but I do enjoy that they push the envelope for more creative actions.
Okay. And actually you're kind of mentioning the complexity. So let's rate that, shall we? On a complexity scale of 1 to 5. 1 being easiest game of my life, game for babies, 5 being it's a pretty high tier big brain kind of game. Where would you place it?
I would probably place it at a 4.
At a 4. Okay.
Yeah.
So pretty complex, but when you get it, you get it
Mhm.
kind of level.
It has not
Okay.
reached GURPS level of complexity yet.
Okay. What was the role you were going for in the game, and do you feel like you were able to accomplish it?
I was just trying to be the mechanic, and I definitely felt like I was doing the hacker side of stuff, which is part of the mechanic's role. Um, and I would say in terms of that's mechanically what I was trying to do. Personality wise, I was just trying to just kind of be goofy, be a goofy engineer because um, it kind of keeps things light.
That's
So I
fair.
think I did it.
Did you find it hard to to do the role that you were set out to do? Was there any like obstructions?
Um, uh, I think there was the opportunity there was the opportunity to play the role, but there's also opportunity to dodge it if I want to. So I would say that's more of a praise to the module, but for I felt like I could do my role. I mean, I think one of the coolest things I actually enjoyed doing was turning off the pike. That's a very fun ability to be able to just turn off powered items for a round.
That's true, and that was very helpful. That pike did a lot of nasty damage. The horns were bad too, but the pike was worse.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And so, yeah, I really can't think of anything. How likely would you be to oh goodness, what's the word? I dropped it. It's on the floor. Where is it? How likely would you be to recommend Starfinder to a friend? 1 being I would never tell anyone else to play this one. 10 being I'm going to tell everyone I know about this game.
Uh, I like Starfinder more than I like the Star Wars role playing system.
Hmm.
Um, in terms of sci-fi, I would recommend it. It probably is my number one sci-fi system I would recommend. So it's from a scale of 1 to 10, thinking about sci-fi, I would probably say a 7. But that's because I'm not a super big sci-fi person.
Okay, that's fair. That's completely fair.
Yeah.
So a 7's pretty solid. That means that if you felt like someone would like the game, you would definitely recommend it.
I think if a person wanted to play a space version of like D&D, I'd be like use Starfinder. It doesn't have the baggage that a lot of other sci-fi systems have in terms of its IP. So you're able to be a little bit more creative within it.
That's fair. And speaking of, it sounds like you have a little bit. What do you have any general experience? What's your experience with Starfinder?
Um it it allows for a lot of creativity if the GM wants to do it. There's a lot on the table, and it's definitely up to the group to decide how much they're going to push off the table. Uh, I think one of my big things that happened in our Starfinder game is so one of the other things we found about Starfinder is you also have to decide what type of campaign you're going to play. Because Starfinder, because it's kind of more modeled after Star Trek, if it's very very prone to Monster of the Week, so the group has to be very active to avoid that potentiality. And then there's some mechanics that are not even really talked about, like shipboard weaponry used planet side, or um, what happens when your mechanic can make a power cell in between journeys and then use it as a bomb. There's things like that that the game does not explain that you guys have to talk about.
That's fair. The question was, what's your experience with it? Like
uh,
how much have you played it overall? Like,
I've only played. I mean, I played Starfinder when it first came out, so it's been years, and I only played it for about 6 months. So I'm
okay, so about
fairly
six
new to
months.
it still.
Okay. All right, cool. Just want to get a good frame of reference for people who may are watching this, because we do post our interviews on the channel, so that
Yeah.
people who are interested can take a look at it. All right, excellent. Well, I guess if you have any final thoughts on Starfinder or anything you'd like for people to know, now would be the time. Otherwise, we can move on to the next person.
I think Starfinder allows for. I think this. I think I want to just go. I just want to reiterate the fact that Starfinder does not have the baggage that Star Wars and Star Trek and some of the other sci-fi systems have that will allow you to do some things where there's not like a built-in. There's not the built-in world's a lot more open to be played with. So I think if you want to play a sci-fi system where you're creating your own epic narrative, I would probably pick this one over other ones.
Okay, that's good praise, honestly. All right, excellent. I'm going to go ahead and send you over to the next room,
Cool.
and or back to the other room, and let Epsilon know that they have 15 seconds to live.
Gotcha.
Hello.
Hello. Alrighty. Hope you had a great time today.
Oh yeah, it was good. Except for the bits where I rolled a bunch of ones.
Yeah, that's unfortunately when you play dice games,
Yep.
sometimes that just happens.
No, that's no big deal.
That's fair. So I guess I should preface with this. What's your experience with Starfinder and tabletop in general?
Well, Starfinder I haven't played, but I've played a lot of Pathfinder First Edition, and recently I'm in a Pathfinder Second Edition game. So it's interesting to see Starfinder at this stage, to sort of get introduced to Starfinder at this stage, because I can sort of see it as kind of a hybrid of the two, because it was sort of a development out of Pathfinder First Edition, and they hadn't fully developed Second Edition yet, but you can see they were thinking along certain lines in Starfinder.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting like half step between Pathfinder 1E and 2E for sure.
Yeah,
I definitely think
yeah,
that they synthesize it really well, and by 2E they got what they wanted out of it. But
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that's fair. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask you just a few general questions about Starfinder, and obviously, obviously, we didn't get a chance to do everything. There's a lot about the game system we just didn't get to touch on, and
Right.
understandably, the character sheets on Roll20 are kind of garbage. But speaking on the system and your experience as your first impression, where would you rate how much you enjoyed Starfinder on a scale 1 to 10? 1 being, I'm never going to play this game again. 10 being, I absolutely can't wait for the next session.
Well, it's funny you should ask, because I'm actually starting a Starfinder campaign, and our session 0 is next week. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not. As a result of this, I'm not planning to abandon that. um, no, this looks good. I think I don't have a fully formed opinion of it from this little taste, um, but it definitely gave me an idea, especially since I decided to play the Solarian, so I did a lot of reading on that, and it gave me
Hmm.
an idea of what they were going for. I think the Solarian is their uh, kind of answer to the Jedi in a sense. So it has these weird dark side, light side powers, and
Hmm. A little bit, yeah.
um, I guess I rate it pretty high. You know, maybe 7 out of
A
10.
7.
But that's a very preliminary rating because like I said, this was only just a taste of the system.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this is a first impression, This
Hmm.
is generally what we're trying to base things off of what people can expect in their first session or two of Starfinder.
Hmm.
So, like if you really enjoy the beginning session, I think that says something even if the game ends up like not doing well later. I think it's important that a first impression can kind of be given because there's definitely, of course, more channels out there that have gone into depth on all the games we've ever played that
Hmm.
people should check out. But from a first person impression, I do feel like, with a range of experiences, it's an important viewpoint. So you're going to stick with a solid 7 out of 10 for first impressions?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
It'd have
Was there
to
any.
have been pretty amazing to get a 10 on just a first impression.
Yeah, sometimes though, we had Vampire the Masquerade actually went really well our first session.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, a lot of them rated it like a 9 or 10. So that was
Nice.
yeah. So some games really can carry on out in the first session really well. But speaking on the game and your overall enjoyment, was there anything about the game system that maybe rubbed you the wrong way, or something you didn't like in particular?
Um, well, I was a little shocked when a Nat 1 was a failure on a skill check, but that's just me not reading the rules thoroughly enough, I think, to have understood that. Um, it surprises me because that's not the case in Pathfinder First Edition, and it's technically not the case in Second Edition, although you'd have to have really high numbers in order to succeed on a natural one.
Yeah, not one in Pathfinder 2E. You need to be at least like a level 15 character to
Yeah.
succeed on a check. Uh, so I mean, it's possible, but yeah, I think it's just kind of the halfway point between the two,
Right.
which was interesting for sure. Yeah, overall, I don't think it was overall super impactful, but and maybe I just got the rules wrong as well.
Yeah,
In any
it's
case,
possible.
unfortunately, that's kind of a thing, right? It's also my first time running this game as Starfinder, so
Right, right.
that's just part of the first impression experience.
But but no, I there weren't any major surprises really. Um, Given that I've had a lot of Pathfinder experience, there weren't any surprises.
That's fair, and nothing that was unfavorable to you or anything like that.
No.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. What was the role that you were trying to accomplish in the group, and do you feel like you're able to accomplish that?
Um. Well, I mean, I sort of I sort of built the character with some face skills, and I didn't accomplish that at all. Um, and I, as far as uh, besides that, I had mostly uh, mostly combat skills, and
Hmm.
I did a little bit in combat, but my low rolls prevented me from doing much with that.
Yeah, what would be the role that you were going for? Were you going like brawler, fighter, tank, you know, any kind of
Well,
loose general position?
um, that part of it is because I picked the class without understanding the class.
Hmm.
I maybe didn't build Solarian the way it's supposed to be built, but uh, I thought I was gonna hang back and shoot most of the time.
Okay. Okay. So you made like a phase character with shooting capabilities,
Yeah,
long distance combat. Okay. And to be fair, this module honestly does not have a lot of long range opportunities. A lot of the fights are
yeah.
pretty close quarters.
And
And
one thing that was a little bit disappointing was that we started with first level money,
yeah.
because I I was had a needler pistol, and the thing that a needler pistol can do is inject stuff into people, but I didn't have enough money to buy any injectables.
Right. Yeah, no, it's honestly very strange. Looking at the module, it seems like they really didn't want you to participate heavily in combat. So they
Right,
gave you a couple of like a single opponent, and then they gave you a bunch of really weak opponents. They were like CR2 or something,
right.
Royce's cronies. And then the mountain eel is like a big kind of dangerous opponent that everyone is supposed to kind of take down together.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of one of those very strange things about it. But I looked through all the like the pre-mades for the module, and none of them have had any special weapons or anything like that. Most of them just have their own abilities, honestly. So I it was a strange. It made the players, excuse me, motivated to just not run in and try to shoot up the joint
Right.
going in. But yeah, I definitely think that was something that it's a trade-off. We got more kind of variable situations because combat wasn't a super like definitive answer.
Hmm.
But yeah, I get that. And honestly, the weapons in Starfinder are pretty dang cool. So
Yeah.
I'm I'm very sad we didn't get a chance to more look into those, but I also feel like for our first impression, most players don't even know like what the weapons they're picking even do anyway. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a rough one, but okay, understandable. Yeah, just the in the end, you didn't get a chance to do what you wanted to do, but it wasn't too bad.
The only thing that I really wanted to do was use my ranged disarm. I probably should have used that instead of shooting the Minotaur.
It's all good. Honestly, it worked out in the end. But yeah, understandable. All right, cool. Well, or I should say, how likely would you be to refer someone to Starfinder? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I wouldn't tell anyone to play Starfinder, and 10 being I'll tell everyone I meet to play Starfinder. I think it's a great game.
Um, well, I'm kind of don't have a strong opinion on it. I'd be kind of middle of the road on that at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'd give it a 5, right smack in the middle.
Okay.
Maybe after I play some more, because I am going to play
For
some
sure.
more.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's true.
I might, and it really would depend on what people wanted to play. If people wanted to play a space game, then I might give them a recommendation. Um, if people were just like, what game do we want to play? Um, it might not be the first thing that I'd recommend, because there are other games that I've been really getting a kick out of lately.
True, fair. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Hey, a middle of the road kind of game. If you feel like they're really into it, into that kind of theme, you might recommend Starfinder. But,
Yeah.
one of those kind of games, and I think that's completely fair, especially for a first impression. Well, I guess any kind of last words you want to give to the audience, and oh yes, I forgot. If anyone in the audience, is listening right now, Epsilon here is joining a game of Starfinder. Maybe I can get some information out of you in like a couple months if the game goes successfully. And, join the Discord. Check it out. We'll be talking about Starfinder a little bit, and maybe we'll get some peeks in on someone who gets to play a bit more. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, any last words on Starfinder you want to share with the audience?
Well, no, I'm just kind of excited to learn more of the lore of Starfinder, and I'm looking forward to playing it some more, and hopefully learning more. I mean, this has really been a learning experience for me, and I think that playing in the future is going to be for a while a learning experience, and that's always fun. I felt almost like I should know everything with my Pathfinder experience, and it really doesn't apply to Starfinder. I mean, the lore is very different. All your Golarion lore is thrown out the window in the beginning of the premise of the game, and so you're really left to learn a new game.
Yeah, so I guess we could take from that. If you're interested in Pathfinder, try Starfinder out. It takes the same kind of chemicals you're used to and mixes them up in a different way, and it's just a whole new experience.
Yeah, it's like, let's take the mechanics of Pathfinder and play a completely different role-playing game. The lore is related to Pathfinder, but only just.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
Let Alex know that he only has a few moments left to live. All right, so
Interview.
Now, if you're watching at this point, Alex has been in most of the games we've done up until this point. Have you
I've
missed
done
one?
every single one shot.
Yeah, so if you're familiar with the series, you obviously probably know Alex's general experience. But for the sake of this particular interview, what's your general experience with tabletop in Starfinder specifically?
A lot. I do a lot of tabletop. Starfinder, literally none. Knew it existed. I asked someone, "Oh, Starfinder looks cool," and they're like, "No, it's not." I was like, "Okay." That is my most experience I've ever had with this system.
Oh, wow.
I've only heard of it in passing.
That's fair. Okay, well, so speaking of Starfinder specifically, how would you enjoy the game on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being I would never play this game again, 10 being I can't wait for my next session.
I'd give it. I'll give it a solid 6.
A solid 6.
My opinion of Starfinder, like at the stuff I've seen, like the mechanics I messed with, it's just a very All right.
Just a very
This
Explain what's meh for you.
There's nothing where I'm like excited. I guess there's not a lot of pull in like what I've read through Starfinder and like going through Archive and Nethys. There's some dope stuff. Don't get me wrong, some very cool stuff. But nothing like, say, VTM or Lancer or even like Pathfinder 2e, where I'm actively like, yo, dude, this thing, I'm really pumped. It was just like, yeah, it's a system. There's rules. Though, I know there's cool shit hidden. But, least the stuff I've interacted with, it was nothing that blew me away.
Okay, that's fair. So I guess let's use Pathfinder 2e as a good like example. You said that with Pathfinder 2e, there's stuff that's really exciting. What in Pathfinder 2e do you find more exciting than like Starfinder?
I think there's a lot more customization, or at least like when I'm building a character, like comparatively between these two systems. One, I feel like, well, granted, I know the system. I know what I'm making. I know like how the things will interact with each other. It feels like I am making more of a stronger character. For this, it was just like, yeah, that seems good. Yeah, this number, I need this number. I don't
Okay,
know.
so
It's
you
like
felt
the actual
like
character aspect of it. I feel like just there's more bite. There's more interesting things for me in the Pathfinder 2e system.
okay. And honestly, you haven't even played that much Pathfinder 2e, right? You only
No.
played like you played 3 characters technically.
3 characters. I played a few for like a good chunk of time, but like because we did our Pathfinder thing like our when we were still like figuring out the system, we did that for a while.
Yeah, Rise of the
Um,
Rune Lords we did for
yeah.
a good amount of time, the first 3
That's great.
chapters.
Yeah, it's a good amount of time.
Um,
So like I at least have also built characters, and like even like the experience of building the character I'm going to be running on Riptide, and then building this character were like night and day. Like I've had a lot of fun going through everything with Pathfinder 2e. There just hasn't been as much pull from Starfinder, which I'm actually surprised to find, because like normally the idea of it's Pathfinder with sci-fi sounds super dope. I love sci-fi more than fantasy. But I don't know. I think Pathfinder 2e is just like it's got some stronger meat to it.
okay, so yeah, it's more of a thing of you feel like the choices you make in Starfinder are just not as impactful as you've had in other games.
Yeah, and not to do a repeat of that one famous YouTube video about Pathfinder 2e, about the illusion of choice. Like,
Right.
it's the kind of thing of like the things I've heard about Starfinder and the opinions of people who really like it. Probably everything, they're probably all right. I've heard a lot of really cool descriptions of it. It's just of the content I've interacted with that I just was not blown away. And normally I base a lot of my tabletop opinions on if I'm actively hyped about the stuff I am creating or going to do. And Starfinder was just like kind of just going through it rather than like any actual hype behind it.
Yeah. And I'd also like to say for the audience as well, since Alex has done every video so far that we've done on this one, on this kind of stuff, it's not like we're saying there's not some fun potential with Starfinder or anything like that. But Alex, who has recently been making a new character every month in a different game system that we're all learning that month, this game system just felt like some of the choices just didn't have as much spice to them, you know, as some of the other games. Is that a correct assumption?
Yeah, I'd say so. And you know, I do actually feel like from just skimming through Archive and Nethys, I think Dead Phoenix, yeah, you nailed it on the head. Like it is 100%. Like you have a lot of really cool race customization. It looks like the classes seem like they have some dope concepts. Then you actually dig into it, and it doesn't feel like you're getting a lot of crazy cool stuff. And the feats, there were not as many interesting feats as I expected.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly it.
Feats definitely, if you're going backwards from Pathfinder 2e through the prior systems, definitely have a different feel to them, because in prior systems, you're fighting for every bonus you get. Well, in Pathfinder 2e, you're expected to get a bonus just innately from your class, and so you don't have to worry about that.
So it's definitely a different perspective then, I guess.
Yeah.
Because as
yeah,
someone
for sure.
who's never played or cared for 1e, I could imagine jumping from 1e to Starfinder is a much different jump than 2e to Starfinder.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's like the weapon specialization and weapon focus feats or whatever that give you that +1 to hit and the plus extra damage or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
that's just the kind of games that these systems are. But okay, all right.
That's fair.
That's fair. Let's carry on. Was there anything that rubbed you kind of the wrong way about Starfinder, or anything you just kind of didn't like?
I honestly, I've said it so many times. If I just had a paper sheet, I think I would have had more of like a better time. It was 100% roll 20 sheet fucked up my experience a good amount, because it was just annoying to like actually fill out. It was annoying to just work with. If I had a paper sheet, much better. That's more on the roll 20 aspect than the actual system itself, so I can't really knock it for that. It is not the system's fault, because it was not designed for roll 20.
Okay, that's fair. And
there was nothing of the system that rubbed me the wrong way. It was just I did not get actively excited at the mechanics I was given.
Okay, so a big part character sheet and a little part just getting certain feature abilities were not necessarily impactful.
Yeah, no, there are hype moments in this game, but it's because we made it rather than the game provoked it. I like the little fist fight, like steal the data pad thing. That was a fun little moment. I liked going into the train and just fucking with the security guard. Good time. That's more we're playing a game with people who are role playing and all, and like creating a story in this moment, rather than like the game itself giving us like ways to like approach a situation. It feels like.
Okay, all right, that's fair. What was the role you were trying to play, and did you feel like you were able to accomplish that in this session?
Rogue / kind of face, and seems like it worked.
Seems like it worked.
I made decent checks. I made a 30 difficulty
a couple times.
Like getting I made some clutch face checks. I bluffed right off the bat with an aid to like, no, we're meant to be here. Don't do anything yet, so we can get some sneaky hits in. So I'd say I filled my role.
That's fair enough. Okay, that's good. That's good. How likely would you be to recommend Starfinder to anyone on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being I would never recommend this to anyone else, and a 10 being I'm going to tell everyone about this game. I think it's a really fun game.
Solid 5.
Solid 5.
It'd be a thing of like, yeah, like Starfinder. Yeah, I've done it. It's cool. I think it's fine. If you like Pathfinder 1, you'll like it.
Okay.
It's not going to be something I'll scream its praises to the high heavens, but you know, it's not a bad system. No, I wouldn't call it a waste of time.
That's fair. All right, excellent. Well, do you got any final stuff to give the audience on Starfinder before we end here?
If you like Starfinder, good for you. I'm happy. You like the system. Happy to get a lot of joy from it. There's some pretty cool, interesting, like stuff that you would say is the fun of Pathfinder that like say I'm definitely missing from the experience, feel free to chat about it in our Discord, because I would like to hear like how cool this system is. Because I mean, honestly, I'd love to be proven wrong in any like, I guess not fully positive opinion I have about the system. I want every tabletop system to be hype.
It's true. Especially space fantasy.
Exactly. I love me some cool sci-fi shit. If there's some stuff that I've just straight up missed and neglected, feel free to gush about it in our Discord.
All right, and that's pretty much it. Everyone more or less enjoyed it, though it felt like it was lacking. And that was mostly because, and the thing is with these early impression videos, is this is just the first session. We couldn't obviously get into everything that was in. There's starship combat, there's mech combat, there's all kinds of different systems. The playtest module could only allow for so much, and there was only really like one combat, which wasn't even really a combat, and some puzzle solving and social interactions. I actually do like Starfinder, but I think one of the things that really held Starfinder back was the lack of emphasis on the class choices, and that there's a lot of ways you can play the classes. There's a lot of different ways you can set them up, certain feats, certain paths that each of them have. I personally really like the Solarian. I think it's a really cool idea overall for a character, and I hope they get something like that in Pathfinder 2e. Not only that, but I do like some of the updates to the combat system. It was not as egregious as 1E, but it's something you had to play a few times to really get the gist of the combat, to get the most out of it. And I feel like we were just not able to fully grasp the combat in the session, so it kind of felt a little lacking. I do like how the backgrounds helped, give you bonuses to your attributes. That's something that carried on to 2E, which was really good. And you also got special features based on your background, which I thought was also really good. And I mean, this has been done a little way after the fact, so my memory may not be the best on the system overall. But obviously, these interviews were done immediately afterwards, so you can take the player's words for the general first impressions. It's a game system, I think, that if you're tired of medieval fantasy, high fantasy stuff, and you want a really solid system that is sci-fi, this is the way to go. It's a good step in between. It's not quite as gritty as some other sci-fi kind of games like to be. It's got a little bit more of that fantasy element in some respects, but I think it has the aesthetics and it gets the themes really strongly across, and the types of adventures you can have. I mean, Starfinder is genuinely a really good game, and it's so good, in fact, that they're still releasing material for Starfinder, and there hasn't been word yet that they're coming out with a Starfinder 2. So, they are obviously still very hyped about it. I also thoroughly enjoyed the many, many, many different species you could pick between to pick your character. And that's, I think, what really made the game shine, is you can explore the different anatomies, different cultures of tons of different races, tons of different species, I guess, and really get the full like sci-fi feel, that universal mixing pot kind of thing. I think it was good. I think it's one of those game systems that you just have to play more than once to really get the gist of it. And I am curious, actually. Are these, for those who have seen more than just one Final Thoughts video, are these Final Thoughts videos and the interviews really worth it to you all? Or do you think that they're just kind of malformed opinions on a very short playtime? I think that's valid, but I also think a first impression is valid. If you're going to dedicate probably up to 6 hours to your first session with character creation and the actual session itself, I feel like you should know what you're getting yourself into for just that alone. And as much as I would love to dive into each of these systems individually, I just don't have the time currently. I would like to go back through these game systems and do an updated version later on when I have more time. I can delegate more tasks to other people so that I can sit down, play like 5-10 sessions, and then really give a good, like, full impression on a game system. So, at this point, I think Starfinder is good. I think Starfinder is one of the better sci-fi as far as structurally consideration, and Paizo's a great company as well. They have the themes really in order. It's not grim dark sci-fi, it's very much fantasy sci-fi. So if that's not your cup of tea, obviously there are other great sci-fi games out there, hopefully more that we'll get to play in the future. And, it's something I'm definitely going to consider. Maybe at some point in the near future, I will make my favorite high fantasy games and my favorite sci-fi games based on my play experience with them. I think that would be a very good video series. Maybe even a tier list, because, those always do really well. I don't know. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. And I guess I didn't really mention this earlier, but if you liked this video, leave a like. And if you want to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments below. Subscribe, yeah, sure, but let me know in the comments if these videos are actually getting to people, because I do feel like actually taking a look in at these game systems is something very valuable, and is something I do want to dedicate time to on the channel, but maybe I can change the formula up in a way that's a bit more satisfactory for all of you, and maybe we can come to some kind of compromise. But with that, I'm even going to mention the Discord beyond this statement here, or the Twitter. And I'll see you all next time. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck with your games. Leave the bad luck to me. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.